Uh, I'm Sister Paula. I was Rosemary Bingert, if you remember the early days of St. Peter's in the 30s and 40s.
I'm Sister Bernard Marie Campbell, and I was born and raised in Joliet. I was sent here fresh out of college in 1946.
I was born in Mansfield not too long ago, but I was baptized at St. Peter's, and it is a wonderful parish, and I'm so very happy to be back in St. Peter's Parish today.
And your given name was?
My baptismal name was Rosemary Bingert. I'm better known here as Sister Paula.
Okay.
I'm Sister Bernard Marie Campbell. I was born in Joliet, Illinois, not too far from the mother house of the Sisters of St. Francis. I grew up in Joliet, had Catholic education in high school and college. As soon as I graduated from college, I was sent to St. Peter's, Mansfield, back in 1946. It has been a wonderful, wonderful time here at St. Peter's.
My education started at St. Peter's in Mansfield. I went through 12 years at St. Peter's in the elementary and in the high school. When I left St. Peter's High School, I opted to go to college rather than enter the Franciscan order. I went to the Franciscans in Joliet, Illinois, St. Francis College. I spent 4 years there. The summer between my sophomore and junior year, I was hired at the Mansfield Public Library, and I really enjoyed that. And when I graduated from college, I put in my application and they hired me. I was very fortunate. The librarian who was to be the children's librarian was not available until September, so during the month of August I was the children's librarian. Now that's kind of a prestigious job in any library, and I enjoyed it. Of course, I didn't do as well as the new librarian. But anyways, the Lois McKellar was the head librarian at the time, and there were 3 of us that just graduated from college, and she took us to Cleveland to the library to get an education to be bona fide librarians. And I worked until the end of December, and I decided that this was not my life, that I wanted to be a Joliet Franciscan. So in January, I left Mansfield and cast my lot with the Joliet Franciscans. That was 1948.
Well, I was born in Joliet. When it was time to go to school, I went to the public school because I had problems with my eyesight, and I was in the sight-saving room. Well, they put me there in the 1st grade, and I really didn't like it, and so they took me out for 2 years, and we tried it again in 3rd grade. So I was in the sight-saving room from 3rd grade till I graduated. My parents felt it was time for me to get a Catholic education, so they sent me to St. Francis Academy, and I met the Joliet Franciscans for the first time. Well, needless to say, I was very impressed with the sisters and what they did and the way they lived. So I went through 4 years at St. Francis, and when I graduated in June, I had by then decided to join the sisters. So on September 8th of 1942, I entered the sisters' convent. Went through college. I was fortunate enough to be able to get all 4 years of college finished before I was sent out to teach. And when I was sent to teach, it was here to Mansfield. Well, not too many years after that, we always got more education than just college. So they sent me, of all places, to the University of Notre Dame during the summers. I spent 6 wonderful summers at Notre Dame studying chemistry and minoring in physics. graduated from that in 1962, which was actually 20 years after I had graduated from high school. I have also, in the succeeding years, I spent many summers. I would apply for a National Science Foundation scholarship for the summer. So I spent one summer in, let's see, I spent one summer in Detroit, I spent one summer in Washington, D.C., I spent one summer in Chicago, just taking courses to bring me up to date on chemistry, physics. I was also teaching mathematics, which had been my major in college.
I am a born parishioner. Many times I meet people that say, "Oh, I remember your mother," and we'll talk a little bit about family or growing up. I'm an early morning person, and I prefer 6:30 Mass. And we formed a nice community. There are very few of us, and we usually sit at the same places, and if anybody's absent, we're quite aware of that, and we say, "Oh, is he sick, or did she move away?" Or we find out, or we pray. After 6:30 Mass, we stay a little bit and converse on the topic of the day, whatever it happens to be. Maybe we talk about the weather. We get to know each other a little bit better than just sitting next to each other in the pews. But there is one parishioner that stands out in my mind. His name is Paul Malaska. He knew everything there was to know about St. Peter's compound. And this was one winter evening. It was snowing, the roads were icy. I had just finished a bath, and I was cleaning out the tub, and I couldn't turn the water off. Well, Sister Mary Ann Schnalker lived with us at the time. Sister Mary Ann was Sister Fix-It. If anything went wrong, she knew what to do. So I called Sister Mary Ann, and she had no success in turning off the water. I said, "Call Paul, he'll tell you what to do." Well, we kind of hesitated calling him because of the weather, but finally we had to, and instead of giving Sister Mary Ann instructions, he said, "I'll be right there." And he was. And of course, in 2 minutes, he had the situation under control. God bless Paul. And there are many other people in the parish like that have come to our rescue, people that we've befriended and people that have become very good friends.
Well, I found that the people of St. Peter's were very welcoming. The parents were very cooperative, and I had very many pleasant experiences with the parents. And it was nice to get to know the parents. It's one thing to teach the children, but it's also good to have a relationship with the parents, because sometimes you need it. You got to get in touch with the parents, and if you're on good terms with them, it makes it a lot easier. So over the years, I have made very many good friends with the parents, as well as with the students as they grow older. I have nothing but the best to say about the parishioners of St. Peter's. They are cooperative, they are helpful, they always rise to the occasion, and for volunteers, you can't beat them. They are good volunteers. Great people. Going to miss them terribly.
Back when Monsignor Dunn was the pastor, in the 1980s, somebody in the parish asked me a question about the parish, and I couldn't answer it. It was a historical question. And I thought, this is terrible. We should be recording history of the parish. And I went to Monsignor, I said, "Can I start a parish heritage room?" Well, of course, he was very cooperative. The only space available at the time was one little room up on 4th floor at the end of the hall, but it worked. And it had a nice cupboard in it, and I called the parishioners, I put notices in the bulletin, and one after the other, they came with cocoa cups, old letters, parish bulletins from the 1970s, and I kept gathering the material, and pretty soon I ran out of space. The baptistry had already moved, and the people were using the baptistry to store cleaning equipment. I thought, well, this is a perfect place for it. So I asked Monsignor, he said sure. So the janitors helped me clean up the baptistry, and we got a couple of display cases, and Phil Rennie got me a filing cabinet, and Bob Fraz made pegboards to put on the wall that I could hang pictures. And I was very happy, and one Sunday after Masses, I was in the parish heritage room, and I invited people to come in. Well then, along came a group of young mothers, and they said, we need a cry room. So much for the parish heritage room. I moved into the basement of the high school, and one day there was a pipe broke in the basement, and the water was coming in. I had pictures on the floor. Well, God bless Bob Yarger. He was a maintenance man at the time, and he got everything off the floor for me. And I said, this will not work. I've got to get out of the basement. So I went to Tressa. Tressa Reith was the principal of the high school. I said, if I find a room, oh, she said, if you find anything, let me know. I said, there's a room down the hall. It really is a projection booth for the VE room, but it has a lot of nice shelving and no windows to fade anything. I said, it's full of junk. She said, if you clean it out, you can have it. So I put up a sign for the faculty. If you have anything, it was room 116, and nothing moved. So I started throwing stuff out. Old textbooks, old Christmas trees from the days they had parties and Christmas programs. But anyways, I got it all cleaned out. And Bob Yarger, again, moved the pegboards from the baptistry to this little, Bob Yarger, God bless him, he took the 116 number down and went out and got a little sign that said Parish Heritage Room and hung it up for me. So I was really in business. I needed help. I'm not an organizer. I can collect, I'm excellent at collecting stuff, but it needed organization. And Linda Klein, who was the secretary in the high school, retired. I don't remember exact date she retired, but anyways, she offered to help me, and she is Organization Plus. She was marvelous. So today, still with Linda's help, and Heidi Vega is taking over the Heritage Room. So between Heidi Vega and Linda Klein, I'm perfectly happy. I know the Heritage Room will go on, and it will flourish, and it will help people to appreciate the great heritage of St. Peter's Parish.
The Fudge. Well, I actually do not remember how we started the Fudge. I do remember we had a project going in the community. We were supposed to make our dollar grow. I think they gave us each $1 and said, do what you can to make the dollar grow. Well, we decided, I knew how to make good taffy apples. I had an excellent recipe for taffy. And we had a family, I believe it was the Geigers who lived out in the country, and they had a very fruitful apple tree, and they told us we could have as many apples as we wanted. And I remember going out there with a bushel basket and picking apples. Brought the apples home, put sticks in them, made up some caramel, and we sold caramel apples after school to the kids. Well, when they knew it was going to be an apple day, it was a madhouse. They all wanted caramel apples. So we made our dollar grow very easily. And then from there, I guess, as I say, I don't remember how we got to the fudge. But I think I started making fudge for the Christmas Classic. And the first time, a couple of people helped, I'm sure. But we made fudge for the Christmas Classic. And then we had the Easter bake sale, and I ended up making fudge for that. And pretty soon, we started calling it Sister Bernie's Fudge, and there were people who enjoyed it, so it seemed to always be in demand. So I thought, if they liked it at Christmas and the Classic, that might make a nice gift to the people who had gifted us. So at Christmas time, I used to probably give out 10 to maybe 15 to 20 packs of fudge, mostly to people who had gifted us. So it was our way of saying thank you. But it's quite a project, and I found out that the best way to make the fudge, after you get the fudge made, instead of putting it in a pan, it worked very well to take a large candy box, line it with wax paper, and pour it in there. It was very easy to remove, and then I could cut it up into smaller pieces. And I always did it the same way. I wrapped it up in what do you call it? Not wax paper, but
Saran wrap?
Saran wrap, thank you. I wrapped it in Saran wrap, and then always wrapped it in foil, and it freezes very well. You can keep it for months frozen. In fact, I have one gentleman who buys it at the auction, and he gets a good probably 5-6 pounds. He freezes the pieces and makes it last until the next auction, when he again is the high bidder to get the fudge. So we have a pretty good reputation with the fudge. And our president was here for the farewell, and she said, we hope you will make your fudge for our auction. And I said, well, yeah, give me a place to work and I will. And then our good friend Kathy Morris said, if I go get you and bring you back here for our auction at the end of, for the bake sale at the end of November, you can make the fudge in my house, and then I'll take you back to Joliet. Well, I'm thinking seriously about taking her up on that. That would be fun. So the fudge is a good thing, And I've got a bad arm, so I'm having a little trouble stirring the fudge, but I got some help stirring it this year. Take 3 or 4 batches. You have to get it cooled and out of the way. So in the kitchen we have 2 windows, and they have marble windowsills. Well, as you can imagine, the marble it takes the heat very nicely and cools it off quickly. So once it gets solidified and cooled, then I can cut it and wrap it and get it put into the freezer, which I do right away. But sometimes I have to run into the next room and use the marble because I get ahead of myself. But so unfortunately, we had one of our sisters come to help us declutter, and she decluttered without checking to see what was important or not important, and she was getting things ready for Goodwill and for the garage sale and for, I don't know where else she took things. But she gave away my candy thermometer and she threw out all my boxes, and so when I had to make some fudge this summer, I was in bad shape, so. But I'll collect boxes again if there's a chance that I'm going to be making fudge. So. But I think I'm going to pack a little box with all my materials. I have a fudge pan. It's a beautiful Calphalon pan given by one of the generous St. Peter's parishioners. Now, I told this sister who was clearing out things, I said, don't you dare touch my pan. So I'm going to take the pan, and I managed to get another thermometer from Brenda Shook down in the cafeteria. And I can continue making fudge in Joliet if I can find a place to do it. So anyway, that's my fudge story.